My name is Lurlyne Goekler, and I'm going to interview my mother, Lurlyne Goekler. We are at my home in Marshall, and the date today is May the 6th, 2001. Mom, to start off with, when and where were you born?
I was born at Covington, Indiana, in Fountain County in Indiana, to Mamie Askren and Riley Allen in July the 25th, 1916. And I had three brothers and two sisters. I was born to this family.
Okay, well, did you live in Covington or did you live outside of Covington? And how many years did you live there?
Well, I was born there, but we moved then to Cates, where my grandparents had a home, and then my dad built a home there at Cates, where I attended school. It was a small community, and I think we lived about a mile from Cates, and we children had to walk to school when it was nice weather. The community was surrounded mostly by relatives, and my grandparents' brothers lived all around.
How many years did you live there?
Oh, I lived there about 14 years. Then we moved to Marshall, where my dad was a coal miner, and we moved to Marshall, and there's where I went to school at Pleasant Hill. But the school is now gone, but I went to school there.
Okay, when you were small, what kind of chores were you asked or required to do?
Well, we did all of the normal housework that children did. I can remember one incident when my sister Alice was born. Rovina and I had to get dinner, and we'd stand on a box, and we had to cook for my dad, and he didn't like the food we cooked very well, but he ate it and was happy that we could do it. Mom usually had fried chicken. We had that on Sunday, and we came home from church, and biscuits and gravy and ham was my dad's favorite breakfast meal, and of course there was always the cornbread and beans and fried potatoes, which we had, and we all enjoyed it, the normal country food. Oh, and my dad and Grandpa would always butcher in the fall, and they had the trees a rack fixed up to hang the hogs on, and that was a lot of fun to watch them scrape the hogs and cut it up, which we all participated in.
Well, then in your younger days, when you started dating, what was dating like?
I'm sorry I didn't date when I was there, but I started dating Ralph when I was about 15, and it was just, I suppose, the normal activities, only we didn't get to do the things that the young people do now. We went to church and I think the first movie I saw was at the Strand Theater, and I think it was called Seventh Heaven. That was the first movie I saw. Ralph took me to that, and we just did the normal things.
Okay, then when and where did you get married?
Oh, well, I got married when I was 16 years old in October the 30th, and we were married at parsonage in the Christian church, and Reverend L.Z. Smith, I think, was the pastor there at the time. And on our honeymoon, I guess, Mom fixed us, or for our wedding dinner, Mom fixed us a big dinner. We had chicken and dumplings and angel food cake. Then we went on up to my grandparents, where Grandma had always had a pot of beans on the back of the stove. That was our wedding supper. And then we went to Danville and went to a movie in Danville, and we spent the night there. And then we came back where Ralph had to go back to work at the garage. He worked for Simpson's Chevrolet, and he had to go back to work then on the following Monday.
Okay, and Mom, over your years, I'm sure you've seen and heard a lot of historical events. Why don't you tell us some that stand out in your mind?
Well, I think one of the most one that really stands out was the night the Hindenburg came down. I can still hear the announcer crying, "Oh my God, it's on fire." That was one of the most outstanding things. And then we lived in the country. We had kerosene lamps, and when the lights went on out in the country, that was a beautiful sight to look out over the countryside and see electrical lights on, and that was really exciting. And the airplanes it was fascinating to hear the airplanes go over, which they weren't as many, but the boys would run out in the yard, and when they'd hear it coming, and just were amazed to see something in the air that would be flying.
What about where were you when the Pearl Harbor bombing?
Oh, yeah, and when Pearl Harbor was bombed, we were on our way we were in Cape Girard, or Carroll, Illinois, where Ralph and Robine Blizzard lived, my sister and her husband. And we were there, and we had my sister-in-law, Ina Allen. My brother, Vernell, was in Hawaii at the time. And that was quite an experience to hear come over the radio that this had been bombed. And that was one of the most horrible experience when we heard this.
Uncle Vernell was not injured, was he?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't injured in it, but he was there.
Okay, what modern conveniences do you think has affected your life the most?
What modern conveniences? I think one of the nicest modern convenience that we had, that we women had, was the washing machine, because it was kind of tough washing clothes on a washboard, and it was quite a thrill when we did get electric washing machine. That was a very exciting thing. And electric iron. To heat irons on a stove, which I have done many, many times, was you'd get part of your clothes ironed, and your iron would get cold, and you'd have to wait a while. So I think the washing machine and the electric irons was one of the nicest convenience that we have had. Then I remember when the television came in, I think it was, I'm not sure when, but we had gone to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and a friend of ours had one, and Ralph said, coming home, he said, "I'm going to get one of those as soon as I can." So immediately he bought a television, and that was, I think, maybe one of the first one in Marshall, but we sure had a lot of fun with it.
Okay, well, I've sure enjoyed that, Mom, and I'm sure the people who will be reading this will enjoy it too. Thanks very much.
I want to tell about my family.
Okay.
Okay, and the Lord blessed us tremendously. Ralph and I had 3 children, 2 precious boys and 1 precious daughter, and now I have 7 grandchildren. We lost one, our Jeff, and I have 7 grandchildren, and I have 14 great-grandchildren, and I have 4 on the way. So I have been truly blessed, and my family are so very precious. They have all been super kids.